Somebody asked me recently about meal timing, and I get this question every now and again, not very often. Somebody asked me if there's like a perfect time or specific times that they should be consuming the foods that we talked about as far as from a fat loss perspective. And I remember when I first started lifting weights, people told me that I needed to get protein in immediately after lifting because there was like a window of time where it was optimal to get that protein in, and if I didn't, I was going to lose my gains. And they called it the anabolic window. That's kind of like an old bodybuilder myth. Nutrient timing, meal timing is largely a myth. It usually comes down to personal preference. And at the end of the day, adherence is always going to be the most important factor when it comes to any type of dieting or eating strategy. So the thing that you can do for a long period of time, that's what you always want to focus on. So for some people that means eating 6 small meals a day, 7 small meals a day. And for some people that means eating 2 big meals a day and skipping breakfast and trying intermittent fasting or some variation or version of it. Meal timing, largely a myth. It's usually within a 24-hour time frame that you're trying to get in all your nutrients. So if you're like shooting for a protein number daily, within that 24 hours, your body's going to utilize it and use it the same way. There's been some studies that have suggested that people that eat breakfast tend to be more satiated and they tend to consume less, but that's not always the case. I know lots of people that stay under their calorie allotment for the day or hit their calorie allotment no problem by skipping breakfast, and they'll wait until they eat lunch or even just before lunch. So personal preference, meal timing, largely a myth. You just want to really focus on what that calorie number is, creating a calorie deficit if fat loss is the goal. And if you're lifting and you're trying to sustain and acquire that lean tissue, protein is going to be a must. You want to get at least 1 gram per pound of body weight. Some people say 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight is probably, if you're in there. So if you weigh 150 pounds, anywhere between like 110 and 150 grams of protein per day. All right, if you have more questions about that, hit me up.